night, right, or this morning. What
Oh,
a
so
twist!
we are live. Look at that. Cool. Cool. All right. All right. Another great and exciting episode of the Legacy Lounge podcast. I don't know if y'all tuned into the last episode that we had Rashad on, but you are here. We are now. So we just gonna get rolling with it. Rashad, I know we had an interesting experience last time
Yeah.
with the technology and everything, but let's scratch that and start fresh. What is it that you want to say? Just introduce yourself to the audience, tell them about yourself, give them little tidbits about you, Rashad.
Okay. So my name is Rashad Page. A little bit about me. I'm the CEO of Ripple Digital Solutions. As you can see on there on the tagline, started Ripple Digital Solutions with the idea that technology should not only be a product, but more so a service to bring people together. So our tagline is Tech, Business, and Connection, using technology to help businesses and nonprofits to form a connection in their community with their clients. So I'm someone who loves technology, love what it can do for people, and that's why I started my company. And honestly, I never thought I would be an entrepreneur, but entrepreneurship was always sort of connected to people I know, like Tino, or like your neighborhood barbershop owner who is an entrepreneur himself. And it's something that I'm finding out that I'm really good at. From all the experiences I was able to pull in with people, and that's what led me to entrepreneurship. But I'm really excited to be back on the podcast. It's funny enough, I'm here talking about a technology business, and we had technology problems last time. But it's okay because even this past month, Meta was premiering a project, and they had technology problems.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so it's a little lower scale for us.
Hey, so tell because you said you never thought that you would be an entrepreneur. So tell us about Rashad before entrepreneurship.
Mhm. So Rashad, before entrepreneurship, first generation college student, right? So being the first person in your family to go to college, your focus is I got to graduate college so I can get a job. So there was really no other like side quest or mindsets where I should be an entrepreneur and create my own opportunities. So I went to college, and I went to college to be a teacher. Graduated from Claflin University in 2014 with a teaching degree. And then after graduation, I went on to be a project manager. Had my project at University of South Carolina Aiken, and that experience I could say was sort of like my first like foray into entrepreneurship. Even though it was a job, I didn't have the traditional 9 to 5 schedule. I made my own schedule. I met with clients in different school districts in different counties, and then pretty much I was like my own operation where I was responsible for how the motion of the project would go, and then I brought on team members. So so I would say like that was like early beginnings of entrepreneurship, even though at the time from 2014 to 2017, I didn't even recognize it. When I thought about entrepreneurs, I thought about door-to-door salesmen or people who sold things, and I never saw myself as a seller of products or services. Never.
Yeah. So what was that turning point for you? What made you go, you know what, I'm going to build something of my own. I'm going to jump off the porch, as they say, and get into entrepreneurship.
Honestly, like the turning point was really when you do everything that you're told to do. You go to college, you get your education, you go to graduate school, you get another degree, then you go to graduate school again, you get another degree. And as you're getting more educated, learning more about the world, you see that the job market isn't always reflective of the education that you received in college. And
Yeah.
you see how the job market brings people in and then releases people. And that creates a little bit of anxiety where you're like, do you really want to be able to tie like your career future or your financial earnings on the basis of what a company is doing? Like, do you have the skill set and the network and the professional confidence to go about yourself and find opportunities for yourself? So I would say that's like the turning point. As the world turned and I recognized what was happening in the job market, I felt like it was my responsibility to go out and create opportunities for myself.
Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because what's coming to mind is like that one Kanye album was like, oh, I got all these degrees.
Oh yeah, school spirit, school spirit. I remember being in middle school listening to that. I got a degree. My degree keeps me warm at night. I can count your money really, really fast. But he did the guy, the character in that skit. He didn't have a job, and it affected his family and
Yeah.
his children. And I never want that for myself.
So what's been like the biggest light bulb moment or just like an experience like that pivot that really shaped your journey into entrepreneurship?
So I can't even say it was just like just one moment really. It was like, multiple moments, you get for me, I mean, I got one degree, and I interviewed at a place and I thought the interview went really well and you didn't get the position. And sometimes you didn't get the position not because of anything like you did wrong. It's just it was no longer feasible for them to hire somebody given like there were constraints on budgets and everything. Now I'm saying that could have been a possibility, but the thing is you just don't know why certain opportunities aren't granted to you, no matter like how hard you work or how prepared you work for an interview. And I say, multiple times of that happening, and during the time, I'm not resting on my laurels. You're earning more skills, you're earning more credentials, but the opportunities just aren't coming like you perceive them to come after you do A, B, and C. You're supposed to get these results, but sometimes your results are down the line. So I would say, the situation like that were the turning points where it led to me to say, maybe you should go into entrepreneurship because you have skills in this and skills in that. So why not leverage those skills and provide a service for people?
Yeah. And what's been the thing that you like the most about it so far?
What I like the most about it, honestly, is the availability, like the schedule availability. So if I have to meet with somebody at 9 and I have to meet and my next meeting is 3 o'clock, that time pretty much is my own to do what I need to do for my own business or to learn new skills. There's not a set 9 to 5 schedule when it comes to like where you have to be and who you have to meet with. But even with saying that, there's no set 9 to 5 schedule. So it's sometimes it's 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, 12 a.m. I'm working on projects that are going to move the needle for my business, or I'm working on projects that are going to move the needle for my clients. And it's like one of my favorite like Drake and Lil Wayne collaboration songs is "Believe Me." And, and like the hook is like, I'm the only one to get the job done. I don't know nobody else that can cover for me. So whenever I'm working on projects like that, I'm like, that's the mindset I tap into. I'm the only one to get the job done. I don't know nobody else that can cover for me. And that's like I think that's just like a true lesson of entrepreneurship, because when people are relying for you for what you're good at, you have to be the one to step up.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, that reminds me, like early on in my entrepreneurial journey, I thought the exact same thing. And where I'm at right now is slightly shifting. And I know to get to the next level for me in my business, it's more teamwork and collaborations. But I know if it was like, if it's gonna be, it's up to me. That was my mindset all the way.
I like that one too. Yeah.
Now I'm like, So if we're gonna shout it out to Drake, throw it back to Drake. It's now big rings, man.
Yeah.
Big rings,
Exactly.
Really big team. They need some really big rings.
Exactly. And that's I think when you first like become like entrepreneur, I think just different stages of entrepreneurship. Like early beginners, you do have the mindset where you have to get things done because you came up with the vision and the idea. So you have to be the wheels that move the vehicle. But as you move more and like people recognize like your growth and everything, you find other people that maybe they'll be able to do something that you're not able to do. With the project this last year, I knew when I saw the project that I would need collaborators. And and like with doing that project, I called on my collaborators a lot, like to help me like get it to the finish line. And the project is so much better because that team mindset. And I'm all about movies, Tino. Like me and you can talk about movies forever.
Oh yeah.
I think the greatest movie I saw like this year, like outside of Sinners, was the F1 movie. You didn't see it yet? You have to see the F1 movie, right? Because I've been watching like Formula One, motorsport, maybe since 2018. I think that's when Drive to Survive came out on Netflix. And when that came out, you get to see like the behind the scenes of like these drivers and everything. Like growing up, we always heard of Michael Schumacher and everything. And even if we didn't watch the sport, we knew who Michael Schumacher was. Well, in the sport of F1, the driver is like, the quarterback of the team, but the people that are in the background, those auto mechanics, the coaches, the managers, they are just as important as the quarterback in that case. And F1 was like my favorite movie this year because you get to see how drivers are successful. How like even like the co-drivers allow them to be successful. And I love that movie so much because they did a great job with telling the whole story of how these multi-million-dollar auto racing teams are successful as they travel around the world driving at speeds that the average person can't just drive. And it's
Hey,
the same mindset.
Speaking of that, like what is something that like really like a different change in perception in your journey? Like you may have thought, oh, it was going to be this way in the beginning, and then when you really get into it and see all the different workings behind the scenes, it's like, oh, it is not how I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. So I think with technology, right? A lot of times like with apps and everything, you may come to the idea like, I want to build an app. I need to learn how to code. Like you may want to be familiar with code, know what type of code like you need, but really you got to adopt the director mindset for where if it's going to take you like 3 to 4 years to make an app because you're learning the code, you probably should go about it a different way. You probably should find somebody who's a lot more technical than you. So I say you got to have the director versus like the doer mindset. What are some things that you're going to be the doer on, and what are some things you're going to be the director on? And if you're going to be the director on certain things, then you need to find somebody or find people that are far more experienced, far more understanding of how things work, and allow them to use their skill set to have your vision come through. So that director versus doer mindset is something that I think entrepreneurs really have to balance a lot.
Yeah, I know when I'm talking to a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners, it's always like, how am I going to get this done? How am I going to get that done? How am I going to get this done? And one of the things I'm always telling them about now is who, not how. It's not about how you're going to get this done. It's who can I talk to who can get this done for me? How can we leverage? How can we create that partnership? How can like again, the who, like I don't ever think about how too much anymore. I'm like, who do I know that has the knowledge or the skills that I don't know, and give them a piece of the pie and let them get it and we can all eat.
Correct. If you have the vision, like how do you sell your vision to others or sell your vision to people who are, like you said, are the talented people that can bring it to it.
You got any tips on that, on selling the vision?
Selling the vision, yes. So I think when it comes to selling the vision, right, you have to think about where you are now, or what the vision is now, and how you can convey people to like, here's what I'm thinking now, but here's where I see it a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. You have to sell something that people see that they can, like people that you want on your team can grow with you on. Like for example, me and my business partner, we did a project here in South Carolina where we built like a studio. And as we were building the studio, we got the project because, we won the bid to build the studio. And, the people who gave us the bid said, we believe you guys to do the best for the price and for the value. Mm-hmm. As we're building it, I say to my business partner, like, what we should do? Like, as we're building this, I think we have an opportunity here. Let's expand the scope. Let's expand the vision. Let's do a documentary about this build. Let's do a documentary about the community that this is going to affect. Let's make the documentary about the people who work in this school district, how hard they work and who they do it for. Let's do a documentary that's going to show students and their perception of what this means for their future outlook. And I mean, I told him that, and he was like, "Oh yeah," especially since he is the technical person behind the camera. He's had a camera in his hand since he was 13 years old. He's now in his 30s. So when I said, the vision is something that you're already good at, but let's expand it and put it on a larger scale. So, I sold them on that vision. Then I went to people who are in the industry like, hey, you've been in this industry for, a decade now. If you were in high school, if you were in middle school, and you want to do this for the rest of your life, what would you want someone who's in the industry, a professional, a decade-long person, what would you want them to tell you? Like, what are some tips, some tricks, and like how to get there? How would you want to bridge that gap? so that's how I sold it to the industry professionals to be in the documentary. And when it came to getting our message out about this documentary to like the larger scale in the state of South Carolina, I asked my business partner, like, do you have anyone for your news connections that they would see the value in this story? Because this story isn't only about what the company is doing, it's what the company can do for the community and how the community can grow from this. So, it's I think when it comes to selling a vision, you have to sell it at different levels. You can't, you're not always going to sell like what it can be at the end or what you're doing presently. You have to see it at multiple levels for different people.
Yeah, man. And you talking about the power of documentation and storytelling. And I find that absolutely amazing because even though I'm in the financial industry, I look at it from a point of psychology and focusing on legacy. It's about the story.
Yeah.
It's about the story, man. And so, in your words, why is capturing that story so important?
Like the story that I was talking about, just stories in general. When it comes
stories in general,
I think so. When it comes to capturing stories, right? When we think about success, right? Here's how I used to think about success. Even though it was things I was successful at, going to school, being a good son to my parents, being a good brother to my siblings, that's a success itself because not everyone is good to the people that support them. But when it comes to success, like at a scale where you see people are getting PhDs, where people are starting businesses that go on to be multi-million-dollar businesses, where people are getting awards in their industry, I think you have to look at success as it's for you as much as it's for other people. I used to look at success as though, only these type of people can achieve that level of success. It's not true. Success is for everyone. You just have to recognize like where you fit into what you're trying to be successful in and then grow from there. So when it comes to capturing moments, those moments are captured because at some point that moment's going to pass. You're capturing the moment so that when you're reflecting, you have something to look back on that's going to propel you to that next level. So it's always important to capture whatever level you're at, the success that you're achieving at that moment. And that's why people take pictures at graduation. That's why people, when they get married, they pay thousands of dollars for a photographer for a video because they achieved a certain level of success. They found love. Billions of people, they found a person for them. Graduation, it was 900 people in a graduating class. You're one of those 900 people that made it through a 4-year degree. And I'm saying 900 because when I graduated high school, it was 900 of us in our senior class. But now it's like 900. It's a small, but colleges, big universities, it's thousands of people. But that means something as well. Out of 10, 20,000 people in that graduating class, you're one of them. You now have a college degree. So that success is always important because you never know when that success is going to be the thing that propels you to that next level.
Yeah, I always say that life happens in moments. And if we want to get down to the core of it, the whole purpose is for you not to miss your moment. Like, I don't know, especially when I think about how it ties into finances, I want you to be able to take advantage of your moment and opportunity when that time comes. I don't know when, but let's just say if it's a business venture or you're getting into real estate or whatever, your family expanded. How do we take advantage of these moments and make sure that we have the funds to do that instead of missing the moments? Like that's what it's truly about for me.
Exactly. I think in finance, right? Like when it comes to saving and investing, like you're planting seeds for trees that you're going to need in the future.
Yeah.
Like you're planting those seeds and they're going to grow into trees, and those trees may be able to like create leverage for you. Like you said, you never know when your moment's going to be, and like you never know when you're going to need that financial cushion to get what you need for your family or for your own legacy.
Yeah, man. And the thing is that stuff takes time. I know everybody wants the quick wins, man. Okay.
We all want to hit the lottery. We all want to hit the lottery. Even me, I don't play the lottery, but I want to hit the lottery. I'm delusional like that.
That reminds me of like what an old pastor used to say. He was like, "Nobody want to die. Everybody want to go to heaven."
Exactly. And some things you got to go through. Like,
hey, congrats on surviving the rapture.
Oh, thank you. I got the news late, so I couldn't, sell my house and sell my car. I couldn't sell paper in my. But
Oh man, I saw so many people just like, man, the rapture was supposed to be this week. I made it.
I mean, I'm still waiting on. You know what I'm still waiting on? Like one of the big internet things.
What?
Wasn't it a few years ago in December? Black people were supposed to get powers. I still haven't got my powers. I was supposed to be flying for free. I still didn't get my powers. I don't know what happened to that, but
Hey, I got a restock on them powers yet?
exactly. And I don't want none of them powers from Gen V or the boys. I want the powers that just like in the comics, I want no.
Hey,
No
what power would you actually want?
Okay, so I go back and forth, right? So
Mhm.
I think top 5 powers I would want, right? Everybody want to fly. I want to fly, super speed. I want to be invulnerable, teleportation, and I don't really know if I want to mind read. I go back and forth about mind reading. Maybe just move things in my mind. Like the remote on the other side of the room. You want to get it.
Mm. I think about that. I know for me, I would want to mind read, but that's always why I'm always curious and asking people questions because I'm
Yes.
like, how did you arrive at this thought? Like, what is the framework? What is your mental map?
Oh
Like, what is
yes.
going on back there?
Yeah, and like I think about how the world is like built now, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
like and some things we just don't even think about. Like we drive on a highway, and like we don't ever think about when the highway was built. It's just there. It's just there for us. And I'm like, who like thought about these highways and how they interconnect to like the larger country? And of course, it's never one person, but it's like it started somewhere, and then someone bought into it, and then the infrastructure happened, and here we are, interstate, or
Man, I think about
the
that all
internet.
the time.
The internet, I learned. It's funny. I learned 5 years ago. I learned that the internet, even though we have wireless internet now and Ethernet cables and everything, there's cords underneath the ocean that connects the
Mhm.
internet. I'm like, what? I'm like,
Mhm.
who would think of that? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's because it goes back to everything starts in the mind. It goes from the
Yeah.
invisible to the visible. And even when we were making this cross country trip to Arizona, and I was just like, who thought to put a road in the desert like this? Like,
Yeah.
who was just like, okay, yeah, we're going to put a road, we're going to start building it, and it's going to be this however many miles, hundreds of miles long. And you
Right.
know what? It's in the middle of nowhere. So you had to
Right.
get a team out here. And then when I look at the roads that go either through or on or above mountains and stuff, I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
who did this?
And it's who did this? Who was brave enough? Who was brave enough to tell up like hundreds of people? All right, here's the job. We're gonna build on this mountain. We're gonna build up, and then we're gonna build down.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna have to blow a space open. It should be this length because they have to fit cars, trucks. This is how we're gonna move the country, and
Mhm.
these are people that are successful, right? And they're successful because we drive on these highways and these roads every day, but we don't even know them. Like we don't know them. We don't learn about them. They're lost in history and everything. But when it comes to, if you want to like get all matrixy and everything, right? If you think about the grand scheme of the matrix and how the world works, they were an algorithm that said we're going to build it this way and do it this way,
Yeah.
and here we are.
Yeah. I think about that, especially in terms of legacy, because I'm like, I may not know the person who, you know, banged the hammers, blew up the dynamite so that this road
Mhm.
could get built, but they built something that lasts. We may
Mhm.
not know their name, but they
Right,
built something that lasts and that generations have used like all
right.
across the country.
Right, and it's great. It's great that they did that, and it's great that, we're able to benefit from it. And I think maybe I hope when they were doing this and everything that they realized that they were making history themselves. And I think I tell I was remember I was telling the kids this. at our documentary premiere event, we had a panel discussion, and they were talking about the importance of having like, a studio like in their school, and like what it means for their school, their community, for the stories they're going to be able to tell. And, I told them, when it was my time to speak, I was like, I want you to realize that, history happens every day in your community, right? And now you have the tools to tell that story. And because, you guys are the first to do this, you are making history. And it's something that's going to last. It's going to last because you're capturing it. It's because you're passionate about it. Because, the ideas that you come up with today and tomorrow and like in the future, they're ideas that are going to last, that people are going to be able to get inspired from, inspired to be something because of what was in your mind that you brought into the larger community. So yeah.
Let me ask you this. How do you help shape people for them to realize that this is their moment? So for example, a lot of times we don't realize the moments that we have or the things until it's gone. And one of the things that come up to mind, especially with you, is like all those times playing 2K. Like in that time, it's just like, man, this was a great moment. And now looking back on it, be like, dang, man. It's like, how do you know that you're in the moment when it's happening?
I think, like from a spiritual perspective, right? Like I like to think like spiritually, right? If you're alive, if you're breathing, God like woke you up, you're in your moment, because not everybody gets that privilege every day. If you're able like to go outside your house, like walk, talk to your friends, have a family, like you're in your moment, you're living in your moment. How do you recognize your moment like for success is that you take an evaluation on like who you are and what some of the things that you want to accomplish. If you feel capable, you're in your moment. That means you have more than enough to start moving forward. And if you feel like you're not capable, that means your moment is now is to grind, to learn, to make the connections. Either way, you're in your moment. And like we spoke about earlier, right? Like sometimes like your moments are high, sometimes your moments are low and everything, but you're always in your moment because you're always preparing yourself. And always listening like to YouTube, like inspirational videos and having a background while I'm doing work, right? And I just always remember like some of them saying, you don't even realize that, your life is the way your life is because of things you did in the past. So why not start building your future today?
Yeah.
So that in the future you say, my life is great because of things I did in the past. I mean, if you're working towards something, you're living in your moment. If you're achieving something, you're living in your moment. If you're trying to help others achieve something, you're living in your moment. And when it comes to helping other people realize they're in their moment, I ask them like, what do you want to accomplish? Why do you feel like you can accomplish this? Like you ever look at an athlete and say, I want to win a championship. The athletes who really want to win a championship, what are they? Starters. They're revered by their peers. It's football season. So I think about like, Patrick Mahomes and everything, right? Or Lamar Jackson. These are people who have won MVP awards and they're respected by their peers. And, they're in their moment because they're thinking about what they've won, what they sacrificed, and what they're trying to go after still. Like I know for a fact, Patrick Mahomes, he is very upset about that loss last year, but he's in his moment because he's still in the game. He's still starting. He's like, it's a new year. I'm in my moment. Let's go after another championship, guys. Lamar hasn't won a championship. He's won MVP awards. He's in his moment because he wants to do something for his team. He believes that he's the leader that can bring his team to that next level. But, same for like any other like successful person. They feel that they're in a moment because they can help others and help themselves get to that next level.
Yeah. So I know for me, I realized that each moment leads to the next moment. And again, like saying that the life that you have now is based on a decision that you made years ago. And for me, looking in my life, everything that I've truly wanted, I've gotten or accomplished in some way. And it made me think, oh, Tino, you weren't thinking big enough back then.
Yeah.
Now I'm like,
yes. A lot like sometimes, here I like when it comes to I struggle with, asking like what I want, right? Because I'm like, what if I'm not thinking big enough? Or, I'm like, what if I'm putting like a limit on God, right? And they say like God always like laughs at your plans and everything because he has like a plan that may be bigger for you. Yeah. So like, so it's like for me, I'm like, you ever interview for a job? Or I don't know the last time you interviewed for a job, right? But like, when they actually when they don't list the salary and then they ask you, well, what are your salary expectations? I always struggle with like, well, don't ask me because I want to say $1 million. Like, don't. but then I'm like, what if I'm asking too little? Like, you just never know.
Yeah.
So I'm like, God, I want to be a millionaire one day. I want to have the type of money that is felt more than seen. And when I say that, I want it to be felt where you ever think about people that have money, right? And you don't see them, but you see the implications of them having money.
Yeah.
Scholarship funds, grants, nonprofit foundations. I think about things like that where their impact is felt even if you don't see them. Yeah. And like when it comes like to wealth and like legacy builders and everything, I would love for that to be like the blessing for me where you don't see like this type of money have, but you feel like kids are able to go to college. Public health is like increased, like community initiatives, like tutoring programs are established where the community doesn't have to pay a thing, but these students are receiving value for what the nonprofit, what the organization does for people. And some things you feel more than you see. And when it comes to like legacy building and finances, it's always great to feel your money and feel protected than actually like having it flaunted or being flaunted in front of you. I mean, because all the flaunting is for nothing. You really should be doing it to help others.
Yeah, because if you don't help others, if you don't pour into other people's lives, even if you did have a ton of money, it's like, who's gonna remember you? Who like what good was it? Like, I'm sure, like you think about, let's just go like George Washington. Mm-hmm. Okay, first president of the United States, great. Who was the richest person in America at that time?
We don't know. That's great. We don't know. And what we know George Washington wasn't the richest person, but
we don't know if he had a dime. They said that man had wooden teeth. Like,
exactly. And like we do remember his legacy. I mean, his name's everywhere. We know what he did for his country to establish a country. And I also think about this, right? We know that when it was time where he could have been a president until the day he died, he stepped away to let someone else fill that position because he knew it was all about sacrificing and helping like the next generation of leadership. Yeah. It wasn't always about him. It was about the whole.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we don't even know how much money he had in his account.
Exactly. So speaking of legacy, I was having a conversation with my family the other day and we were talking about music. That was really what it was about. But then we got into the topic of AI with all of the AI music, like a lot of the AI covers. And my brother was telling me like an AI artist just got signed for like $3 million or something.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So I'm like, how do you think AI is going to shape legacy?
So I mean, it's very nuanced, right? Because AI can help build your legacy, right? For example, you learn the AI products and services, and like you become like an AI expert and like know how to use it in different industries. You can build a great financial legacy for like yourself and your family. But as far as like we're talking about legacy when it comes to the things that get produced out of AI, and like for example, use the example of the music artist that the AI music artist that just signed for like multi-million-dollar. I just don't know like how much of a legacy is going to be built off of that because when it comes to like something like arts and music, it's such a human experience for where when it comes to like AI and like what if the AI produces something that on paper is good, but the marketplace of humans really aren't feeling it. Like that could be gone tomorrow. So like is a legacy really built if like the people who listen to it and engage with it aren't really feeling connected on a human level?
Ooh, that's good because even with music, like sometimes it's just a vibe. I'm like, did you listen to the lyrics? Nah, we ain't trying to. Y'all don't want to hear me. I just want to dance. It's just like, man.
Exactly. I mean, like like music and art, and like writing, like people are expressing like how their human experience at that given time. And I just don't know like when it comes like to AI, like in art, music. I just don't know how much like the community of humans are really going to engage with it.
Yeah.
But from a technology perspective, like and like what it can do for you, like humankind, like AI, like the technology. I mean, it's very legacy building when it comes to the things it could build technically.
That
I
makes
mean,
me think.
apps, websites. I mean, if you think about it, Tina, we've been engaging with AI all of our lives. But you're 30, you're 34, I'm 34. I mean, we played Madden as children, and we played against the computer. That's AI.
Mhm.
So like each skill level of the Madden video game, it just pretty much like had it, it's coded in there like it's gonna be this difficult, and the AI did these type of things, or it's gonna be this easy. The AI pulled back on this. It was guardrails in place for where the AI would allow you to have that experience in that video game simulation.
In other words, the game been cheating for 30 plus years.
I think so. I still don't play on all Madden. I'm too advanced for me. I just want to have fun.
Man. So one of the things that makes me think of is Seal's Kiss from a Rose. I'm like, the words don't make any sense at all. And people are like, this is one of the greatest love songs. And if you look at it on paper, it's like, how? What does this even mean? But
Right.
just the way he sings it, everybody's just like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah. Because like I think music is such a unique human experience that even like the lyrics sometimes, we don't engage the lyric, we engage with how it feels. Right. And I just don't know if AI could ever replicate that feeling, because AI is, computers, technology, and we're humans. Like, of course, like, of course, like you can make like certain frequencies for where, it'll make us dance and move and everything. But as far as connecting on a deep, like human emotional level, I just don't see it.
Yeah. I find it interesting because I did I was watching this video and it was a AI, like they did George Carlin in like modern day time, and I was like, oh, this was still funny, this would still be funny. And it was like, yeah, I want you to know that you're laughing to this, but this whole thing was produced artificially. And I was like, oh man. And then I'm like, oh, there's the subtle differences between comedy and music. Does
Right.
it translate over and whatnot? So
But then you also got to think about this, right? Like, now I think about like this, right? The voice, the image, like, the person could have been generated AI, right? But it was still someone behind that computer that sort of scripted it out and outlined it. We're gonna make a joke on this subject matter, and here's why it should be funny based on how humans interact with this subject matter.
Mm.
So it's like it was still a human behind it.
Mm.
So,
let me ask you this: how do we maintain a sense of authenticity in the world of AI?
that's a great question. I think you maintain authenticity, or one, you have to develop your own authenticity. You have to, create a own value and moral system, and understand like what you deem is important, and then build on that. And I think you become authentic when you have a clear understanding of yourself. And the only way to have like clear understandings of yourself is by going through multiple experiences. Like before we got on live and everything, we talked about, back in the day, business people used to have a Rolodex of contacts where they knew they can call this person for this, or they knew, when it was time to sell this product or this service, these were the people on the Rolodex to call.
Yeah.
Well, I think now, like when it comes to like developing authenticity, the only way that you're gonna really be authentic is by experiencing different situations, interacting with different people in real life, or in real life on a computer, or even like in person as well. Like all those experiences like you have are developing that Rolodex for when it's time to speak about a subject matter or interact with certain people. You're just flipping your Rolodex. So I remember for this experience that I was able to do this, and here we are. Or I know about this experience because I was together with Tino and we talked about this. I know about gaming and like why, people crash out over video games, because for months me and Tino used to have 7-game series on 2K, and we used to go back and forth. And sometimes I was down 3-1 and I came back. Sometimes I was down 3-1 and I got destroyed in game 5. So like all these like different experiences, like, or traveling, like, well, here's how I know that, this is supposed to feel like when it comes to Italian culture, Australian culture. I've been to multiple countries in Africa, and here's why you can't just make something in AI that represents all Africans, because the culture is different, the languages are different, the music, the experiences are different. and you're only going to get that knowledge and insight by living and going through those Rolodex of experiences. And that's how you build authenticity.
Yeah, because you are like that sum of all those experiences and how it shaped you. And yeah, this is also why I tell people just go out and do stuff.
Just
Get out of your home.
Go out by yourself. You'll meet people there. I can I went to it's funny. So I went to Kentucky last week, right, for a conference. I got hired to do a technology job for a conference, and I flew out of Columbia, and I flew to Philadelphia. So I was very late to my plane in Philadelphia. The plane got delayed in Columbia. Like I made it to the plane, my Philadelphia to Lexington flight, literally like 2 minutes before they closed the airplane door. So like when they close the airplane door, you're not getting on that airplane.
Yeah.
So I run on the plane and I'm sweating and everyone's looking at me like, who's the person just running on the plane? I was so late to the plane, it looked like I wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Like seatbelts is on, like they were about to do the pre-flight safety check. So I get on the plane and I had the window seat and someone was like in the window seat and I was sitting next to so she's like, do you want your seat? I was like, no, I'm late, you can have it. I lost like my window seat, it's fine. And me and this woman, we talked the whole plane ride from Philadelphia to Lexington, Kentucky. And we just shared experiences about, who we were, some of the music we're into. She worked at Florida State University. And, I asked her, like, you went to Florida State University. I was like, were you there when you guys were winning games? And she was like, no, I got there right after we won the national championship. So I came in with all this excitement, thinking, every Saturday was going to be championship Saturday. Well, we lost a lot when I was in undergrad. And then, now she works there. She got her master's there. And I was like, well, what are you going for an education conference in Lexington, Kentucky? She says, oh, no, I'm not going for an education conference. I'm actually going for a music festival. Me and 3 of my homegirls are going. And, we got our battery packs, like our portable chargers. We got our hydration packs because it's an outside rave where there's going to be mosh pits. It's going to be like a 24-hour concert. And I had never met anybody that was going to experience that. And she was like, yeah, we're going to be there for 4 days. We're going to have tents and like just learning about that experience, now, like, when I think about it, like that was a great flight to Lexington, Kentucky. I met somebody I never would have met unless, I was on that plane going for another reason. Like we were able to share and learn more about each other. And it's so funny because she wasn't even from Florida. She was from Ohio. So we both had the up north connection too.
Hey, that's amazing. So it makes me think like, okay, like if we was to put it all together, right? Entrepreneurship, AI, the algorithm, life, like how do you know, especially with all of those combined, how do you know that you're building something real versus just making a product of yourself or just staying busy?
Mm-hmm. So I think, for me, like I know I'm building something real because all the experiences I have are genuinely like all experiences and all the things I try to build for my business are genuinely out of curiosity.
Yeah.
I like for me, right? I think about technology like this, right? You could be an expert today, a novice tomorrow.
Yeah.
And which means you have to stay curious. You have to always learn about new products, new services, how this product or service can be used like to help this type of demographic, whether it be a business or whether it be a nonprofit or whether it be a community. And like when it comes to me, like I'm always building something, whether it be relationships, connections, networks, out of curiosity. I want to know, what are you into? What makes you tick? What are you trying to accomplish? And here's what I'm good at. Here's what I've accomplished so far. And here's how, maybe we can come together. And if not, I was genuinely interested in learning about you anyway. So I feel like I gain value as a human from learning more about you.
Yeah.
And that's how I, believe I'm building something real because I always come from a place of curiosity about my fellow person and how, in business, how technology, in my case, because that's the industry, I'm in, how technology can like better serve people.
Yeah, I think about that. Man, it's crazy because I think that exact same way. For me, it's just filtered through finance. Like how you said in technology, you can be an expert today and a novice tomorrow. I'm like, you can be rich today and broke tomorrow, or
Ah,
vice versa.
uh-huh.
And so I'm always meeting people just like, like, what are your thoughts on, it's not about the dollars and cents itself. What are your thoughts on it? How did you come to that? Like, how
Yeah.
does it make you feel? One of the things that changed my life, speaking to somebody, and it was like, I wasn't depressed, I was just broke. And I was like, oh,
Oh, oh.
I'm like, wow,
Yeah, like
wow.
that hit you like a ton. And
Yeah.
it's crazy. You always heard like money doesn't like bring you happiness. And I'm like, well, some people would do actually, but because I like some people, money does bring happiness because it allows them to get the resources that they need to to build that happiness. And I'm not even saying the resources are always going to be monetary. Sometimes you need a therapist, you can't afford a therapist, but you come into some money, and now you've got the best therapist for you, and your therapist may not even be in your state, but you have the money to go see that therapist, or
Yeah.
you have the money to pay for internet to do virtual conferences with that therapist. So the money did make a change in you, and it did allow you to be happier. But
Yeah.
I love how you filter it through finances. You can be rich today, broke tomorrow, broke today, rich tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know I was telling a client, I'm like, hey man, we've all been there. Like, I wasn't born with any of the knowledge that I have. I didn't invent it. I learned it, picked it up along the way. I'm like, everybody I know has been broke at one point. So
Mhm.
like, it's okay.
It's like it's okay, like especially like in America, right? Like in America, even like with our systematic disparities, right? There's a lot. Like I think about I always hear that new millionaires are like made every day. When we
Mhm.
actually look at like the statistics, it's actually kind of true. We like, oh wow, because there's so many different like opportunities you can build like to become like a millionaire and become like financially secure. You just sort of like gotta recognize it and like build yourself up to believe that you are worthy of this. If you believe in yourself, if it's something you want, and not everybody like wants to be wealthy, which is fine because that's your choice like as a person. But you do gotta recognize that you are worthy of success, worthy of financial stability, and like worthy of like living like the best life for you.
Yeah. So I know, like, with me being in finance, a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, where's the mansion and the
Mhm.
Lamborghini and the private jet?" I'm like, "Well, I know people who have it. I don't." And then I go, "I don't know if I necessarily want it myself right now." It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, it's a nice to have, but I think it would defeat the purpose. So it's more like, okay, if you're in finance or if you're an entrepreneur, then you're supposed to have this really flashy lifestyle.
Yeah. Mhm.
And so I would say this, and then, it's not that I do live a great life, I really do. But if somebody, especially when you think about social media, it's pretty much a highlight reel of people's lives.
Mhm.
Like, so people watching your highlight reel, what is something that they completely misunderstand about you?
Oh, that like for me, I think something that people would misunderstand, right, is that I'm always I always have a high degree of self belief in myself, right? Because I do like a lot of different things, right? And like whenever you do like different things, you think of like I think like Richard Bronson, right? Like from Virgin, he always had his feet in something. Like he has they have the cruise line now, but then he had Virgin Mobile, he had the
Hmm.
airline,
Hmm.
and he always did it with a smile on his face, right? And he was like was the first like eccentric like billionaire, right?
Yeah.
If he was in like Marvel Comics, he would be Tony Stark. Like it's just minus like the engineering prowess, but how
Hmm.
Tony Stark is and Tony Stark does whatever he wants, drive whatever car he wants. Richard Bronson, right? So like when I feel like with me when people probably like meet me, I'm always able to talk to anybody, and I love to travel, so I'm always like traveling somewhere, or always now I have like different projects like in the works. I think the thing that people probably don't get about me is that I don't always have like a high self belief like in myself that I can like do things right. Sometimes
Yeah.
I'm in a sitting and waiting period to see like how this will turn out, or I'm in a sitting and waiting period, like, trying to figure things out for myself. And then also, just because, I'm successful and like, I've reached like different levels of success and had different projects work out, doesn't mean that, prior to this big project coming and like me being successful at it, that there weren't 6 other projects where people told me no and it didn't work out. It's like I feel like for me, I've lost so many times that I just have to laugh at it, right? And laugh at it now because I laugh now because I was frustrated before. I laugh now because I was depressed before. I laugh now because I doubted before whether I had the capabilities. But I think when you like stay in the game, because you have to stay in the game, you start to realize that all the losses are really just building up for wins. So looking at me win doesn't mean I always win. Trust me, I do not always win.
Hey, we don't ever lose. We succeed or we learn.
Yeah, but sometimes as a human, when you get that no, you're like, I just lost. I just lost. Like, did I say something wrong? Like, those moments of doubt creep in and everything, but it's on you as an individual to refocus, right?
Yeah, you're still going to have all the same voices, all the same doubts, fears, insecurities. But it's like, how do you push past that? How do you quiet that voice? What is it that you do when those voices come?
You need to have like a strong like belief in like what God has for you. Because I look at it like this, right? If God didn't think highly of you, right, He won't even put the ideas that you're thinking of like in your mind. Like when it comes to ideas and like things like you want to like go after, like we always think, I thought of this and I want to do this, right? Really like God planted those seeds of thoughts in your mind for you to start thinking like at a different frequency.
Yeah.
And when it comes like to ideas that are truly innovative, like it's never like you thought of it, right? It's really like, it got pulled out of the universe, it got pulled from God and placed in your head. And then you just like continue to go forward, and like if it works out for you, it was aligned for God for it to work out for you. And that's how the mindset that I had to start to adopt, that if you didn't receive it, if you didn't win, it wasn't for you, and you just keep going forward.
Yeah.
You cry a little bit, or you get frustrated a little bit, hit the heavy bag, or go for a run. You beat a 12-year-old in 2K online, and then you keep going.
Oh man, I have playing games with kids, man. I have a hard time.
It's different now.
Serious. So I not too long ago I played Uno against a kid, and wow. I was beating him, man. Like you would think I was about to send him to the shadow realm. Like it was bad. And I look up and I see the tears start forming in his eyes, and I'm like, oh man, he about to cry. I can't beat him because then he's gonna start crying, and all the other adults are gonna be like, Tino, you're the only one around this kid. Why is he crying? I can't be like, well, because he's losing, So,
right.
So I let him win, and not every time I saw him since, it's just like, hey man, I beat you in Uno, and I'm just like, should I tell him? I'm like, nah, just let it, just leave.
Now you gotta treat like that scene in Fast and Furious, man. Fast and Furious when they were in Brazil. Brian, had just told Dom that, he was going to have a baby, and then they was racing. And then for the first time, Brian beat Dom, and then he was excited about it. He's like, man, I got you. And then Tyrese and Ludacris was like, I told you he didn't notice. And he's like, what? Like, he let off his brakes. He let you win. And then Brian was like, nuh-uh. And then he looked at Dom, and Dom's like, let you win. He's like, you're about to be a father. I had to make sure you won.
Man. And speaking of like kids and the youth and everything, like, here's a question that I found interesting. Like, if your younger self could shadow you for a day, what do you think would shock them the most?
Oh man, my younger self would see me like or shadow me for a day. They would be so surprised, like the different people I talk to, or how I'm just able, like if I'm in Chick-fil-A, right? And I'm waiting on my carryout order, I can just randomly talk to the person like next to me.
You got to open in line?
Huh? Do I have an open in line? No, I'm very situational. Yeah. Like if we've been waiting a while, I'm like, I don't think it's their pleasure. I don't I don't, I don't think it's their pleasure. Like, it's giving McDonald's right now. Or if I'm in a plane, right? If I'm in a plane and we're experiencing turbulence, I can just say something like, I know that's not the one. That's not the one. Like it's not us. Not today. I'm really good at just like talking like different kind of people. Like, and even if like for example, like one of my clients, English is his second language, so like you know, he's using like me like to work on his English and everything, right? And like he's kind of like down on his English. I'm like Miguel, like your English is getting so much better, like than when we first met and everything. So I'm able to just talk to different kinds of people in different environments, and I think that would just shock my younger self because, when I was younger, right, I was very timid when it came to speaking to people, even people that was in my classroom, like my classmates. I'm in school with you from 7:30 to like 3 o'clock, and it's like I would be afraid like to talk to them. And I think like for me, really early stages that really helped me was leaving my family really, and not that I came from like a family that didn't love me or didn't support me. Is that I had to go to an environment where I had to learn. It was either like a sink or swim moment. I moved down to South Carolina, and I didn't know anybody, and I was like, well, I'm not just gonna be talking to myself. Like, let's talk to some other people. Let's learn about people. Let's learn about the different parts of South Carolina, and that's where I learned about the upstate, the Midlands, Metro, Low Country. And I kid you not, like you're gonna laugh about this, right? One of the first people like I met like from South Carolina, right, was somebody from Charleston. So I heard the Gullah Geechee accent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said to them, I'm like, so what part of Jamaica are you from? And because I had never heard that accent before, and I had been to Jamaica twice at that point in my life. I'm 18 at the time, and they were telling me, they're like, I'm not from Jamaica. I'm from Charleston. Like, I'm Geechee. I'm like, I don't know what that is. I'm from New Jersey. I'm not familiar. And that conversation led me like to learn more about different cultural like experiences people had in South Carolina. So I think that would shock my younger self, just like the amount of people that I could talk to at any given time.
I think it's the ability to, not take yourself so seriously and be like, hey, I don't know. Like everybody, I think, especially with school, I think it's conditioned a lot of people where if it's like, you don't know, then it's like, shame on you. And now like, oh man. And it's like, people start thinking that they're dumb. I have no problem being like, hey, let me ask you about this because I have no idea. And I would sit there like a kid, a curious kid, just excited, just like, wow, that's amazing. And
like let me in your world, like cause I don't know, and like we're here in the same time, in the same space, so like allow me like to learn like more about you and where you come from, like your background, and and I think for me that's like the great thing about. For me, I always say I'm a northerner living in the South. I think that's like a great thing, like about being like a northerner living in the South or moving like somewhere like new. You always have the opportunity to learn about people like through their experiences, and people like people open up because like when they see you're genuinely curious and it's not coming from a place like malice, like you really want to know, they'll tell you anything.
Yeah. It's just like how many people do you run across in life who are actually genuinely interested in you?
Right. Just for being you. Not even just for being you.
Yeah. Man, that reminds me like we had a going away party and we went to this venue and there was a guy with a nice hat and a shirt on. I just gave him a compliment and then I was like, how did you like put this together? Because I'm telling you, this guy looked like he jumped off of a magazine.
And one of those.
One of the things I'm going through is trying to figure out, like when I look at like older people, I'm like, how did you become that type of old person? Like the Kango, or you got the fedora, or you one of them people, like the old heads with the jogger suit on. Like, how did you become like? Is it a certain path that you got to pick, or do you just kind of like ease into it?
Right. Like for me, like they say like I hear a lot. They say as you get older, you get more conservative. And I just don't know about that for me because I'm like, I've always been curious when it comes to people, right? So I'm like, I think as I get older, you get more insulated, like, with your family, with your community and everything, I think I'm still going to be curious because I'm not going to be able to have those experiences where, I meet people like as much. So I think I'm always going to be like sort of like curious, and like the conservatives is like, is it going to come? Because I'm just innately curious about people.
Mm, mm. All right. Well, I know
that really helps the business too, because you talk, they share, you share. They're like, hey, you're the person I need to meet. Like I gave blood today, American Red Cross, and someone called me on my phone. I had on my smart glasses, and the person after I got off the phone, she's like, "Are you still on your phone?" And I'm like, "No." She's like, "So you can talk to people through your glasses?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, these are these glasses." And then like she brought her coworker over. She's like, "Look at these glasses. You can talk to people through the phone." And I shared a little bit about more about myself, and we exchanged contacts. So she wants to learn more about AI and technology, and that's all from a curiosity conversation. And she's like, I'm very shy. So I'm like, I mean, you were shy, but you were brave enough to ask the question that, you were generally interested in. So that's very great.
Yeah, man. Hey, so I know we're coming up on an hour, and I'm not going to hold you all day. So what's some final words that you want to leave with people? Maybe a word of wisdom, anything that you want to share.
I think through the power of believing in yourself and being curious about the world, you can accomplish like anything. Like, plant that seed in yourself, believe in yourself, and then just be curious about how to achieve like anything you believe you can do. And the curiosity is gonna carry you a long way, because if you don't have the answers to what you want to accomplish yet, that curiosity is gonna be the fuel to push you. The belief and the curiosity are gonna take you. If you want to take it from an ABC level, right? You be ambitious, you believe in yourself, and then you have curiosity. ABC. Ambition, believe in yourself, curiosity.
Hey, that's amazing.
You keep it simple that way.
Keeping it simple. Hey, yeah. Rashad, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you jumping on. It's always a pleasure. I'm just glad that we get to, because I know you and I have conversations like this all the time. So just being able to record it, share it, throw it out there to the people who may not have somebody to talk to on a level like this. It's been a blessing in my life, and hopefully it's a blessing in others. And going back, that whole ripple effect, man. So
exactly. And here, and like we said before we got on the call, like I'm always like, I'm humble too, right? Because I just thought like I probably should say my website too, because that's what the business thing you're supposed to do, promote your website or whatever. So my website is rippleinnovate.com. So RIPPLE Innovate, INNOVATE.com. On the website, you'll see some of the projects I've worked on. You're also going to see like some images, some videos that some projects I worked on. So visit my website when you have the chance. Still adding content to it, still adding some projects, and you'll get to learn more about what I'm doing at Ripple Digital Solutions. But I appreciate even if you just visit. You don't have to buy anything or even contact me. The visit makes a difference, because I hope that allows you to be ambitious. I hope that allows you to believe in yourself, and I hope that allows you to have some curiosity afterwards.
Yeah.
ABC.
And I would say, if you're going to go to the website, at least reach out to the man, have a conversation, build a relationship. You never know how one thing leads to another, because again, your moment. Life happens in moments. And with that being said, that's been another episode. We will see you next time. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Oh.